Okay, bursitis and tendinitis. Itis, bursitis and tendinitis, both words or the both condition are composed of two words. We can see here brusa plus itis and tendon plus itis. Itis means inflammation. We all know that, and the inflammation of the brusa is called the bursitis, and inflammation of tendon is called tendinitis. This is just the about the word only. Now let's go to introduction overview. Bursitis and tendinitis both are common conditions. Both are common. They are similar in aspects related to such as clinical manifestations as well as management, diagnostic procedure. So we'll be discussing together. And it is both are the common conditions that involve inflammation of soft tissues around the muscles and bones, most often in shoulder, elbow, wrist, hip, knee, or ankle. It can occur in shoulder, elbow, wrist, hip, knee, or ankle most oftenly. And we can see here in the figure, uh, this is the brusa. This is the brusa subcutaneous brusa. This is the retrocalcaneal brusa, and this is the tendon. This is the tendon. We can see here. This is the tendon, Achilles tendon, which connects the calf muscle as well as the which connects the calf and the this is the heel muscles. Now, introduction to bursitis. It is the inflammation or irritation of the brusa. Inflammation or irritation of the brusa. So, what is brusa? It is the small sac filled with lubricating fluid located between the tissue such as bones, muscles, tendons, and skin. We have seen here in the figure. This is the brusa. It is the small sac. It is the small sac which helps in easy movement of the joints and muscles. It helps act as a cushion. It is located between the tissues such as bones, muscles, tendons, and skin. Brusa helps to decrease the friction, rubbing, and irritation, and helps joints to move with ease. And there are more than 150 brusa in human body. It is located almost everywhere in the joints, almost everywhere, so as to improve the movement. And most commonly bursitis occur on the shoulders and knees, ankles, and hip and elbow. And bursitis occur when a brusa becomes inflamed, and this results in pain, discomfort, and pain may be gradual, build up over time. That means सुरुमा चाहिँ slowly पेन हुँदै हुँदै gradually चाहिँ पेनको intensity increase हुँदै जान्छ, or it may also be severe, sudden and severe, especially if calcium deposition are present. If calcium deposits are present in the brusa, then pain might be sudden and severe also. Otherwise, pain may be gradually building up. Now, introduction of tendinitis. A tendon is a flexible band of fibrous tissue that connect muscles to the bone, and the inflammation of tendon is called tendinitis. Tendon transmit the pull of muscle to the bone to cause movement. This is the normal function of tendon. It helps in the easy, efficient movement of the bones and muscles, and they are found throughout the body, similarly like brusa, including the hand, wrist, elbow, shoulder, hips, knee, ankles, and feet. And tendon can be small, they can be very small, like those found in hands, or large ह्यान्ड्स को चाहिँ फिङ्गर्सहरूमा पनि हामीले चाहिँ पाउन सक्छौँ टेन्डनहरू. दे माइट बी भेरी स्मल अल्सो or it can be large like Achilles tendon in the heel. I have shown the figure. This is the Achilles tendon, which is the large tendon found in the feet, which connect the calf muscle and the heel muscle. Calf muscle and the heel bone. And some name of various tendinitis problem, we can name them after the area where they occur or after the causes. For example, tennis elbow, golfer elbow, pitcher's soldier, swimmer's soldiers, and jumper's knee. These are the common name of various tendinitis problem. And for the symptoms of tendinitis and bursitis are almost similar. The joints which is affected or which will be affected, which will be inflamed, might have sensation like the joint might feel achy, that means pain, or stiffness. Stiffness means the movement will be very difficult and hurts more when moved or pressed. When the joints are moved in the area where the inflammation has occurred, it will hurt more. Pain's intensity might increase when moved in or pressed, and looks swollen and red. Okay, now causes of bursitis and tendinitis. Bursitis is commonly caused by the overuse or direct trauma to the joints. If there is overuse of any joints, then this can cause bursitis, and it may occur at knee or elbow from kneeling or leaning on the elbow longer than usual on the hard surface. And tendinitis is most often the result of repetitive injury or motion in the affected area, and this condition occurs more often with age. As the age progresses, the tendinitis problem occurs more, and tendon becomes less flexible with age and therefore more prone to injury. Similarly, people such as carpenter, gardeners, musicians, and athletes who perform the activities that require repetitive motion. Carpenters, when they do their work, they will be repeatedly using their hand. And similarly, gardener. Musicians, some of the musicians, remember the musicians who play drum set or who play violin, they will be repeatedly using uh, their hands in the same direction or in same motion. In such case, similarly in athletes who perform activities that require repetitive motion, such activities place stress on the joints and are at high risk for tendinitis and bursitis. And an infection, arthritis, gout, thyroid disease, and diabetes can also bring about inflammation of the bursa and tendon. Now, the risk factors. The risk factor includes age. Bursitis becomes more common with aging. Similarly, tendinitis also becomes more common with aging as the tendon gets weaker. And next one is occupation or hobbies. We can say occupations which requires the repetitive motion or pressure on the particular bursa or repetitive use of such particular tendon increase the risks for tendinitis or bursitis. For example, we can also say gardening, painting also, playing musical instrument, carpet laying, different tile settings in home in furnitures. These occupations might become risks for bursitis or tendinitis. Next one is sports. And sports also I have already discussed in occupation only and hobbies. And other medical conditions, certain systemic disease and conditions such as rheumatic arthritis, gout, and diabetes increase risks for developing bursitis and tendinitis. Similarly, overweight can also increase the risks of developing hip and knee bursitis and tendinitis. This is all about the risk factor. Now we'll moving on to the diagnostic investigation. Now for the diagnostic investigation, we can perform history taking, physical assessment, imaging test, and lab studies. And diagnosis of tendinitis and bursitis begin with a medical history and physical assessment. The intensity of pain, the occurrence of pain, the aggravating factor, all can be described by the patient under history taking, location, onset of pain, whether it varies in severity throughout the day, and the factors that relieve or aggravate the pain, all are important diagnostic clues which fall under history taking. And under the physical examination, the therapist or the physician can perform the manual test called selective tissue tendon test to determine which tendon is involved, and then they may palpate the tendon, specific tendon, to find out the condition, to find out the warmth, to find out the tenderness of the tendon. And next one is X-ray. Under the imaging studies, falls X-ray, but it is not the confirmatory diagnosis for tendinitis or bursitis. They do not show the tendon or brusa, but may be helpful in ruling out the problems in bones or arthritis, because various other conditions may also cause inflammation to tendon and brusa. And in the case of torn tendon also, if the tendon is torn, then X-ray may help to show which tendon is affected, because this can also cause pain and other symptoms that are similar to tendinitis and bursitis. And in a knee injury, for example, X-ray will show that patella is lower than normal in quadriceps tendon tear and higher than normal in patellar tendon tear. From X-ray, we can find out these, and this is not actually bursitis or tendinitis, but this condition may also manifest the symptoms similar to bursitis and tendinitis. And similarly, MRI scan or CT scan can also be performed to detect both bone and soft tissues, other deformities. And next one is the athletic injection test. It is the another way to confirm the diagnosis of tendinitis. A small, anesthetic injection test. It is anesthetic injection test. In this test, a small amount of anesthetic. It can be lignocaine hydrochloride. It is injected into the affected area, in the area where the pain is persist, or where the inflammation is found. And if the pain is temporarily relieved through the injection of anesthesia, through the injection of lignocaine hydrochloride, the diagnosis is confirmed as tendinitis. It is one way to confirm the diagnosis of tendinitis. And to rule out the infection, doctor may also remove the test fluid and test the fluid from the inflamed area. If the inflammation is seen in tendon and or the brusa, the fluid from the tendon and brusa can be tested. Culture can be done for the fluid, and fluid studies can be performed so as to find out the inflammation, and to make the choice of appropriate treatment. This is all about the diagnostic test. Now we are going to management. The treatment goal of tendinitis and bursitis both include reduction in the pain and inflammation, as well as preserving the mobility and preventing the disability and recurrence of the condition. And treatment recommendations may include combination of rest, splint, splint of the area, splint of the joint, extremity, hot and cold application. These are the conservative management which can be used for the treatment options. And more advanced treatment options, if the conservative management like rest, splinting, and hot and cold application doesn't relieve the symptoms, doesn't relieve the pain or inflammation, then other advanced treatment options can be used, which include medications, therapies, injections, assistive device, and surgical management. Now, under the medications, um, we can use different prescribed antibiotics after the test of fluid found in the brusa and the tendon. The choice of antibiotic can be done. And next one is therapy. Physical therapy or the physiotherapy or exercise can be used, which strengthen the muscles in the affected area, and which helps to ease the pain and prevent the reoccurrence of the condition. Physical therapy. And next one is injection. Under this, a corticosteroid drug injection can be injected into the brusa or the tendon and can relieve the pain and inflammation in the respective area. It can be shoulder or hip, and this treatment generally works quickly. In many cases, one injection can treat the infection or the inflammation of the tendon and brusa. A corticosteroid drug injection under the injection. And next one is assistive device. Assistive device includes the temporary use of walking devices, walking cans, crutches, which will help to relieve the pressure on the affected area. Until and unless the symptoms subside and until and unless the inflammation is overcome, we can advise patient to use assistive device, for example, crutch walking, walking cans, and other device, so as to relieve the pressure on affected area. And next one is surgery. Sometimes the inflamed brusa must be surgically drained, and but only rarely is surgical removal is necessary. But if the above management therapies doesn't work and doesn't relieve the symptoms, then surgery might be the choice of management. In this, the inflamed brusa is surgically drained. We can see here in the figure. The inflamed brusa is surgically drained, and the inflammation is reduced. This is done with a help of syringe under the ultrasound. Ultrasound को helpले चाहिँ respective area लाई identify गरेर चाहिँ with the help of syringe the management is performed. Okay, is everyone clear till now? Now we are going to the next topic, and for the tendinitis also the management is same. We can also use the next one is, you can add here the pain relievers. We can also use the NSAIDs or just like ibuprofen or aspirin, which can help to relieve the discomfort associated with tendinitis. Similarly, topical and creams with anti-inflammatory medications can also be used. Please add here the pain relievers pain relievers under the medication. We can use the NSAIDs such as ibuprofen or aspirin to relieve the discomfort associated with tendinitis and bursitis. Similarly, topical creams with anti-inflammatory medications can also be used. They will also be effective in relieving the pain without potential side effect. Okay, clear. And next one, physical therapy, I have already said. Surgical management also. Okay, now with this we are here with the last slide for the preventive options. What can we do to prevent? What can we do to prevent the bursitis and tendinitis? Underlying conditions such as leg length differentials, improper posture, or poor technique in sports or work must be corrected. This is one of the main factor that we have to remember, or we can advise patient so as to prevent from tendinitis and bursitis, and applying basic rules for performing the activities. For performing different activities can also help to prevent the inflammation and infection of tendon and brusa. Number one is take it slow at first and gradually build up your activity level. While performing any type of activities, we can advise patient to start slowly at the first and gradually increase the activities. And we can advise patient to avoid the activities that place excessive stress on the tendon, especially for prolonged period. And if the patient notice any type of pain, a particular exercise, while performing a particular exercise or while performing any type of work, then we can advise patient to stop the activity and rest, and use limited force and limited repetition. While performing any type of activities, we have to advise patient to use limited force and limited repetitions. And if we see any type of symptoms, then we have to immediately stop the activity. And stop if unusual pain occurs. Use cushions and pad to reduce the pressure. We can use elbow cushions, knee cushions. You all might have seen स्पोर्ट्स म्यानहरूले है एन्ड साइक्लिङहरू गर्दाखेरि तपाईँहरूले निजहरूमा कुसनहरू लगाएको देख्नु भएको छ नि, निजमा एल्बोजमा कुसनहरू. सच टाइप अफ कुसन्स एन्ड प्याड्स can also be used to reduce the pressure. And next one is improving the posture and improving the posture. For example, posture for sitting, standing, sleeping, lifting and shifting, all regarding postures we can advise the patient so as to prevent the infection and inflammation related to bursitis. Okay, this is all about today. Do you have any confusion?